Okay, welcome to Advertising Design. A little bit about me. My name is Tracy Zuniga. I am not real picky on what you call me. I know Zuniga is difficult to pronounce, so you can call me Tracy, Mrs. Z, Professor Z. I really don't care, just as long as you're kind and you make sure you're always talking to me. I'm a nice person. I'm happy to talk with you about the class. Just like you, I started my education at a community college, and then I got my bachelor's degree at Eastern Illinois, and then I worked for a while and went back to school to get my master's at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. If you're not familiar with SCAD, you should totally look it up. It's an excellent school. I've also worked with some very large companies like Life Fitness, 3M, US Robotics, McDonald's. The one we're most concerned with in this class, though, is Leo Burnett. Leo Burnett is the third largest advertising agency in the world and where I spent the majority of my career. If you'd like to take a look at some of my work, you can check out my website. It's tzunigamyportfolio.com. My portfolio, or Adobe Portfolio, is how I created this. I'm not great with websites, but this was very intuitive. So if you're not great doing websites, Portfolio is a great option for you. I also have a very rich Pinterest board that I usually set up one board just for each class that I teach. But in this case, there's different aspects of advertising. So I already had existing boards. So the three I think you'll be most interested in are over here: clever ads, copywriting, and storyboarding. We'll get to these last two a little bit later in the semester. Clever ads might be where you want to start if you're looking for some inspiration on cool ads, especially the image-focused ones. So this class we're going to focus on advertising, obviously, but also good design. It's incredibly important. And then media usage. Good design is no good to anyone if you can't get it across to your customer that you're looking for on the correct form of media. So that's also important. With advertising, there's these four things I really want you to keep at the top of your mind when you're creating. I want you to grab attention, keep attention. It needs to be relevant, and there always needs to be a call to action in advertising. You need to express what you want them to do next. So in this Ricola ad, it just shows the product, and that is like, go buy it. This is what it looks like. It doesn't have to be a big, buy now. We'll have 4 projects in this class. The first one will be an image-driven ad. The second will be focused on text, a text-driven ad. The third project will be an ad campaign where you'll do 2 to 3 ads in the same vein and the same family, and our last will be a social media ad. Process book, if you're unfamiliar with me, I make my students do a process book with every project. If you are familiar with me, this process book will be a little bit different just because I want to focus on the brand and the targeted customers a little more. I want you to do your research. I want you to show your work. How did you get from your initial idea to the end product? So I want to see how you arrived at it and if it's correct for the final ad. We will also have a design and advertising exercise book, which will be worth as much as another project. It is just made up of very small projects that we will accumulate over the semester. I'll talk a little bit more about that next. I do not offer extra credit. Don't ask me. There's only 4 projects. Get them done when I ask for them. Advertising is a very fast-paced industry, so when an ad needs to be done, it has to meet that deadline because things go to print or they need to be put up, and timing is of the essence. So there's no extra credit. I will, however, allow you to resubmit work 3 days after a critique. So I offer that option. In previous classes, I have waited at midterm and end of semester. You could have that long to resubmit, but advertising, like I said, it's a very tight deadline we're working with, so I want you to get used to meeting those deadlines. So 3 days after a critique should be enough. Okay, I talk about this a lot in my classes. I don't know how many of you listen, but it's going to be very important in this class. Spelling and grammar count a lot in advertising. If you have one spelling error or one grammatical error, you lose the trust of the customer. And that is critical in advertising. You need the customers to trust you and want that information. So with that being said, It's not part of the rubric, but I do remove 1 point for each spelling and grammar error in your final work. So run your work through Grammarly, run your work through spell check. If English is not your first language, congratulations. It's a really big undertaking to learn another language. And so be proud of yourself and use the one-on-one times that I offer in my classes. Come talk to me and we will finesse your copy so that if you're unsure about it, let's talk it through and make sure that it is right, okay? Be proud of yourself if you learned another language. That's amazing. I don't require you to have your cameras on. It would be super nice. I love to see my students. I love to get to know you. Love to see your pets, that type of thing. I know it can slow down Blackboard, so we don't always have to use it. Maybe when you go to the one-on-ones in Zoom, it'd be swell if you turned it on. Or if you're talking in class, I'd also love to see your face and your other students. It helps you guys get to know each other. It's optional, but I prefer. Okay, I mentioned one-on-one meetings. Those are available every class. And if I see you struggling, I might require it. I might send you a little message saying sign up for a one-on-one today. I want to talk to you offline. One-on-ones are about 10 minutes each, and I find that's usually enough time to get through whatever we need to talk about. Just show me where you're at. If you're struggling coming up with a concept, we can work through that. Hopefully I'll get you on a good path. It's just a good idea to check in with me because ultimately I'll be the one grading your work, so I want to make sure you're where you need to be and everything looks as it should. I love talking to my students, so this is the opportunity to do that. My expectations for this class are that you show up, pay attention, and participate. If I ask a question, I'm hoping for answers, Put in the effort and the hard work to be successful and ask questions if you don't understand something. I'm here to help you and answer your questions. I want you to be successful. I want you to have a magnificent portfolio. Advertising is a huge industry in Chicago, and you should have some great ads in your portfolio to help you get those jobs. So I want to see you make some fantastic work in this class. I do use the early alert referral system. So if I see you struggling in my class and your grades are falling and I'm reaching out and you're not responding to me and you're not showing up to one-on-ones, then I'm going to get other people involved. So it won't just be me bugging you. It'll be other deans or counselors who will start harassing you as well. So best just to, answer me when I ask you to meet with me, and we'll set up a plan to get you back on track. Critiques are worth 10% of your grade, so you should always show up for critiques. There's no way to make that up, so you need to show up. When we talk about each other's work, we're going to be using the Leo Burnett Humankind Scale, and I'm going to cover that soon in a new lecture. And that'll help you say, this ad's probably like a 5. I understand the brand's purpose, but I don't think it's like quite hitting the mark. So it'll give us the number scale that might be easier to use than just saying, I don't know, it's a good ad, I kind of like the way it looks. So we need to know that it's working correctly. And every project I introduce will probably have a little quote from one of the giants in advertising. This one's from Bill Bernbach. Just because your ad looks good is no insurance it'll get looked at. How many people do you know who are impeccably groomed but dull? And this speaks to talking to your audience in a way that will connect with them. Advertising, it's all about connecting with your audience. So even if your ad looks good in this class, it might not be enough to connect. You need to make those connections. You need to tell those stories. And that's what we're going to be going for. So keep that in mind.